Welcome to Beyond the Page, the official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, where we bring you amazing insights and in-depth features that you just won't find anywhere else. I'm your host, Gary Schleifer, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into the latest articles, have a chat with this brilliant author sitting beside me, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. When you have a chance, join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and make a real difference in our clients' lives, which I think that's what we're all about. Remember, this is your go-to resource for all things coaching, so let's dive in. In today's episode, I'm speaking with small business coach Carl Dierschow, who is the author of an article in our latest issue, What's Hot and What's Not? What is Influencing Coaching? The article is entitled, The More Things Change, the Human Journey Remains the Same. A little bit about Carl. He holds a CCOC, a CLC, a CSFBC, and is a small business coach with Small Fish Business Consulting. He works with owners and leaders in companies who are making a powerful contribution to their communities, employees, and the world. His blog that he's very proud of is the Values-Based Business. So valuesbased.biz is the website, and it's rapidly gaining recognition for its support of companies with powerful foundations based on deep values and a compelling mission. Carl, thank you so much for joining me today.
Good to see you, Gary. It's been a while since we've had a chance to talk.
Exactly. And while we're here, I'd like to say thank you. You're a regular contributor to Choice, particularly in our Final Say column, where you get to kind of give a personal touch and close to our magazines, and you do such a fabulous job. So thank you for all of your work for us, with us.
Yeah, I enjoy that part of the magazine because it, can kind of bring things together and uh, sometimes spark off new ideas.
Yeah.
That's always a fun part of the learning journey, and I appreciate what Choice Magazine brings to the profession here.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate doing it. We're happy to do it. Okay, so I have to ask a little bit about, you
Okay.
say you're a small business coach. But
Yeah.
you talk about people who have these compelling missions and deep values. Can you give an example of one of these companies or some, what grouping? Are we talking uh, climate consciousness, socialist events? What are we talking here?
Well, it could be any of that kind of stuff. But also I run across people who are committed to, say, running an organization where all employees are respected and have a voice.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's not environmental. I mean, we could be making any kind of widgets, right?
Right?
And actually, if you look on the blog, uh, there's a wide range of interviews that I've done with people who are in this kind of camp, and I love the diversity that people bring to this because, it might be around self-management. How do I become the best leader? It may not be about how do we become a billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
Honestly, most small business owners really don't have that kind of ambition. They'd rather do something that's modest and important and impactful, and they get to define that rather than going out and, making $1 billion and being on the front of the Wall Street Journal. Well,
Yeah.
that's fine for other people, but that's what the small fish is about as well. It's focusing on that small size of company. So I basically work with owners and leaders in small companies, and sometimes it's local here in Colorado, but often it's elsewhere around the world.
Yeah.
I've worked with people on basically every continent except Antarctica, so I'm still working on that.
Does anybody actually live there other than
Yeah,
scientists?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think it is scientists who are there for a year or two or three,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So if you want to call them short timers, but I've never been there, so I
Yeah.
can't speak
Not
for
yet.
Antarctica.
Not yet.
Right, right. Got
Yeah.
something to look up to.
Yeah, exactly. Carl, why'd you just decide to write this article for us? What called you?
Um, well, so I was thinking about this idea that when we're focusing on change, there's a lot of new things that are always coming up. The coaching industry is very fluid. A lot of things going on, and then we go hooked into AI and all these other things, and a lot of change going on in the world. But when I think about what coaching really is, I see the beginnings of it back thousands of years.
Mm.
And so it's like, yeah, we're moving, we're doing cool stuff, and uh, there's great things that we can bring to it. But also, um, the core of coaching is listening to people, helping them think through the problems that they are trying to address in their life or whatever, and make decisions and actually take action. All
Yeah.
right. And so it's like, what was that called 1,000 years ago?
Yeah.
Well, it was probably called like the wise elder in the community, or talking to your smart uncle, and he's giving you a kick in the butt and
Yeah.
telling you, uh, "Come on, get over this, kid."
Yeah.
You know, and wherever you want to go, I'll support you, but I'm also going to challenge you.
Yeah.
Um, well, coaching is kind of very similar to that. I'd say it's an outgrowth of that. Now
Yeah.
we've formalized a lot of things. We've got techniques and we've
Yeah.
got schools and all kinds of great research that's been done. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. We continue to learn. That keeps it exciting, but the core of coaching is still um,
Yeah.
how do you navigate life? Life is crazy, so
Yeah.
how do you navigate through that?
Yeah. Well, to that point, and there's another question there for me, but to your point, even the core competencies, which were talked about, active listening, were revised 5 years ago, maybe it's eight already now, and they weren't changed, they were just deepened.
Yeah, they
And
deepened
so
and
they still,
clarified, right?
yeah, and clarify. And they still hold tried and true to this day. I mean, I can't remember a call where I don't reflect on something that's in the core competencies, and that I haven't seen anything new and haven't heard anything new. But what you said earlier, though, about formalizing coaching, what do you think led to that time in our history where coaching became formalized? Like, what caused that? Usually there's
Well,
disruption for things, right? Was
yeah. I've wondered about that actually, because it was pretty clear that, in the late 1900s is when that thing started to emerge. I actually worked for Hewlett Packard for many years, and I learned, this stunned me. They they were using the word coaching when the company was formed, which was like in the 1930s,
yeah.
something like that. Um, and they were using it to mean how you, as a manager, help an individual employee to be their best and to accomplish a lot of things and, you know, deliver great value. Okay. So it was pretty close to what we think of coaching
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And yet they had been using that, and so when it started in the 90s to get captured and formalized, I wasn't surprised that they landed on the word coaching. But of course, there were big discussions about
Right.
what that would be and how do we describe it and what are the boundaries. And um, I think a lot of it is that our society has shifted to where we're developing a lot, we're learning a lot. We went through the phase of trying to define what psychiatry was
Mm,
and therapy. Okay. And that kind of thinking got us to say, well, that's fine for what it does. But there's this other thing which is called um, growing on people's strengths
mm,
and acknowledging the passion and the interest and the direction that they want to set. And golly, a lot of that is very individualized. It's not just in organizations. What you do in organizations, well, we can call that coaching too, I guess. But
Hmm.
it's that has some different dynamics to it. And
Yeah.
so I think, it's just sort of an outgrowth of the whole personal development space, personal improvements. I mean,
Right.
who knows? It might go back to when um, medicines were being developed in the 1800s.
Wow.
That right, but that was sort of taking care of your physical body.
Right.
But then they start thinking, well, the body doesn't explain everything. There's also this stuff going on in the brain,
Yeah.
you know? And so
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a reason why it ended up being when it was, but I see it as kind of a progression
Yeah,
through a
there
lot
were a
of
lot
different
of paths
stages.
led there.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, a colleague in the coaching industry, Vicky Brock, wrote the source book of coaching, and
Hmm.
she gives a lot of different paths to it. Psychology, therapy, even consulting, things like that. So, but I just realized something. For those of you that are listening, what you don't see in Carl's background is a fish. And when we were
Yeah.
talking earlier, it just dawned on me coaching is about teaching a person, or as the fable goes, teach a man how to fish rather than give them a fish. And that just dawned on me now that fish represents coaching from thousands of years ago.
Oh, absolutely, right. It's biblical for God's sake,
Right?
I mean,
Exactly.
right. But also, notice that the logo is a bunch of fish that are coordinated and together.
Right.
Okay,
In a
it's not
school.
just an individual. Yeah, in a school. And the idea actually came from Finding Nemo that they had some
Oh,
scenes in there of where fish were swimming in formation, and so that was one of the things
confirmation.
that generated this idea. But
That's
yeah,
great. But there you go, walking the talk. You said
yeah.
earlier about keeping yourself excited. And, I'm reflecting on your article where you kind of talked about, well, as much as it's, different, it's still the same. So, in order to not be bored, the flip side is excited. And you mentioned that. How do you keep yourself excited as a coach?
Well, good question. I mean, I think there's a couple of dimensions to that. One is for my own professional development. Um, Part of it is the all the other coaches that I'm hooked to. We've got a really powerful chapter here in Colorado, and the new energy which is being brought in there all the time, and hearing from speakers and reading books and all of that kind of stuff. Always such great ideas. But the other dimension it is working with clients, because every client is different. And every coaching session is different. I mean, we learn each other's culture and interactions in a way. So in that sense, there's some sameness to it, but there's always like, uh, where am I today, and what's on my mind? What am I struggling with? What captured my attention? And that it becomes the fodder for a great coaching session. And every client I have, they're all in different industries, and in different situations. I coach somebody who's a middle manager in a large company, or they have 5 employees working for them, or they're in a nonprofit, or they're one person business, you know, all kinds of different things. And there's some commonality between all of that, but um, it's much more individualized. And that to me is super exciting.
Yeah, it's the
That's what gets me
differences,
out of bed every day.
the differences.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So
And even that one person in each coaching call, I say you never know what you're opening the door to, or the Zoom
absolutely.
call.
Well, and the client doesn't know either. That's what's fascinating about, right? It gets co-created in
Right.
the space between us, that we don't know where the conversation is going. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I had a topic when I came in, but you know, it really led to this other thing, which led to this, which led to this.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Oh,
it's amazing what can
I just
happen.
had a call like that. Man, this client was like up to so much and passionate about all of it and frustrated at not being able to accomplish all of it. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to see the human condition.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
know that one of the benefits of being the coach is that I don't have to get caught up in the drama of all of that because I'm
Yeah.
not the one who's like accountable for the results. You know, so a client is worried because they're getting close to the end of the year and they haven't got their taxes straightened away and you know all of this craziness
Mhm.
going on in the holiday season and blah blah blah.
Right.
And it's like I can step back and look at the bigger picture and help them think through what's really going on. And
Right.
I don't have to worry about the fact that it's the end of the year and worried about taxes and all of this. That's their
I don't
concern.
worry
That's
about
what
because
they're working on.
I got other people worrying about that for me. I don't even worry about even my own.
Well, yeah, you know, that as that example, but you got other things you're
Oh,
worried
I
about,
know.
Gary, you
I
know,
know.
yeah,
I
right?
know.
Getting
Yeah.
that next issue out,
Well, next issue and yeah, the current one we're working on and the one after that.
right?
We've only been doing it for 22 years and it
Yeah,
still
really.
presents different
How
challenges.
I thought you had this all solved by now, and
Oh yeah.
the
Oh
issues
yeah.
just write themselves.
Oh, hardly. I don't even think AI could do that. It's amazing what is coming forward as articles. We're quite thrilled.
Yeah,
Um, as much as everything's different and it stays the same, you talked about AI and technology and stuff like that. Is there anything the coaching schools should be teaching us or the coaching industry new, or should we stay the course?
well, I think it will change naturally because we're in an entrepreneurial environment. And if somebody has a good idea, they just start a school to do it, or they create a class, or they, you know, start doing webinars or whatever. It's a very dynamic space. So there's nothing that's keeping us back from advancing as an industry. The thing we need to do is to keep taking advantage of that all over the world, whenever it happens, wherever it happens. And so I think it's natural that we will keep advancing. Will we incorporate AI into what we're doing? Uh, sure, to the extent that AI is useful.
Yeah,
Is it
as long as
useful?
it
We
serves,
don't
right?
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It could be. There's some hints and here and there, but everybody is thinking about AI and whether it's useful or not, not just the coaching industry. So we will continue to watch that. Coaching, as it turns out, is very well connected to every other industry because we're talking to people in all industries and in all stages of life. Okay, so if something new develops around um, gender, let's say, uh, then we will be connected to that. And
Yeah.
people will say, you know, there's some coaching that could exist around that topic.
Yeah.
Let's go explore it.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, it's a good example is the ICF core competencies
yeah,
were expanded to include having conversations with your client about origins, basically. It's not what
right.
it says, but like what are you bringing to the coaching that I need to know about your background, your origins, your history, that sort of thing, right? And so diversity, equity, inclusion is therefore
Yep, a
part
natural
of the
part.
natural
Yeah.
part.
And so
So
we incorporate DEI very naturally
yeah.
into coaching. It made for some great discussions,
Hmm.
fabulous. And we learned a lot, and we're continuing to learn a lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, as society changes, coaching will continue to change along with it. And I don't think that's a scary thing at all. I think that's what it means to deliver value to our clients.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's old is new again, or so to say. I realized that one of my clients this last week, two of my clients, I took them on a future self medita guided meditation. I don't know if you
Nice.
know those. Uh,
Yeah.
in coactive coaching where I trained, we did that in one of our course weekends, whatever that was. And it just dawned on me that that was something that had such an impact on me 23 years ago.
Right?
24 years ago, January 2025 to be exact. And in Denver, have you ever heard of Denver in your Colorado? So I did my first week of coach training in the second week of January 2001 in Denver.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I finished it up the rest of it in Toronto. And
And
so,
this learning just changes us as coaches
oh,
so much. I mean, it's absolutely transformed my life in the way that I think
yeah,
about my own personal situation.
yeah.
I have a lot more tools at my disposal. I've got a lot of people who can help me, uh, have great discussions with other coaches, particularly in our chapter.
Hmm.
So, yeah, great
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh my gosh. And don't even get us started on technology because I'm not just talking
Mm.
AI. Back when I first started, the cost of my long distance telephone bill was a lot for doing training and that sort of thing, not for the client, because of course they absorb their own costs, but all of these things have changed so much.
Yep.
And it's been it's been a wonderful journey, and I'm blessed to have been a part of it and to meet you along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I enjoyed when you started this, by the way, Gary, you said that I was sitting next to you. And the word next is a little bit of a stretch because it's only like we're about 1,500 miles away, right?
That's
Something like that.
all.
That's all.
Hey,
But
where I grew up, that's a neighbor. Okay.
right.
That's a close neighbor. Well,
Fabulous.
Carl, thank you so much. What would you like our audience to do as a result of the article in this conversation?
Well, so people can always reach out to me if they want to go and check out valuesbased.biz. So, so that's my blog, and then I keep writing on that every week. Very enjoyable. And they can always reach out to me. I'll have a free session with anybody, a conversation, even with
Oh,
you, Gary.
oh, wow.
And
Who knows
uh,
what you can do for my business that's been going for
right.
24 years?
Because there's great collaborations that come out of these kinds of connections, and I love doing that. Um,
And
so
that website is same.
values based with a D in there, .biz.
And in
Okay.
English, in Canadian, that's BIZ. In America, it's
Yeah, that's
BIZ.
right. Right. Yeah.
So our
Well, I'm in
translator,
America, so I gotta stick with the local customs
of
here.
course, of course. No,
Yeah.
but that's the way to reach you as well as to sign up for 101 and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah,
way.
that's the easiest thing. And if you want to subscribe to the blog posts, it's right there on the website, easy to do.
Yeah,
And then they'll come to your inbox every week.
awesome. Carl, I want to thank you again, not just for this call, but all of your past words of wisdom. I'm glad we've got you on audio now, and I hope to read more from you and hear about your clients and your and what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for always giving us some great closing remarks in our issues.
And thank you so much, Jerry, for what you do. This is a very important magazine for our industry.
Thank you.
And I've been a subscriber since I met you at the Denver ICF conference.
2003.
Yeah, was it then? Something like what,
That's when we launched.
way back then.
That was when we launched. We opened the first boxes again, Denver, November
Yeah,
2003.
I was being a volunteer at that conference, so
Oh my
great fun.
gosh. That's
Yeah,
great.
been a few
Thank
years.
you. And by the way, it's the only magazine for professional coaching.
Well, okay, I give you
Yeah.
that one.
Not just
Yeah.
okay, it's the only one, man.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of others that claim that they're valuable. That,
Oh, oh.
Ah,
Shaw. Shaw. They're not an unbiased, globally distributed,
there you go.
colorful magazine.
There we are.
And they don't have the great Carl Dierschow in it. So
That's right.
we got one
Yeah.
up on them.
Right.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Page. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app, probably the one that got you here. If you're not a subscriber to Choice Magazine and you're watching this, you can sign up for your free issue by scanning the QR code in the top right-hand corner or by going to choice-online.com and clicking the Sign Up Now button. Thanks again, Carl. I'm Gary Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery.